Feels a little bit like deja vu talking to my next guest. She's going to be rematching Shanna Young coming up here at UFC Fight Night on November 5th. It's Miranda Maverick back here on the program. Miranda, how are you?
Good, good. Glad that the fight is rebooked. Excited that it's coming up soon.
Yes. Take me through the process here. Obviously, Shanna was out of the fight initially, and then the fight ends up getting rebooked. Were there any other opponents in mind, or was this always the plan to rebook this fight?
I was hoping for a fight sooner. I didn't really care who got put in front of me. I said, basically give me a fight. They told me this is the soonest they could book me, even though there's fights being booked still in October and everything else. But I think it's just one of those things where they wanted it on the November 5th card. When a female has a weight cut struggle and it's their first time in the UFC, I feel like they're a little bit lenient, and probably were like, don't want to look bad by not letting her have a rematch. So they asked me if that would work. I said sure, and re-signed a new contract with the UFC though in the process. So I was happy about that, and within I think 5 days or so, we were re-signed.
Yeah, take me through that process as well, getting the new contract. I know you wanted to be paid your worth. It sounds like you did. So how did this all come together? Like, I guess they just went to you and said, hey, we want to rebook the fight. Here's a new contract.
Yeah, basically. I mean, beforehand, they offered me what I considered a low ball amount. I gave them a different amount. They didn't want to meet in the middle. And basically, they were like, let's fight it out. So I bet on myself. I said, okay, I'll take this fight. And if I win, basically, they'd meet me closer to my number. I still didn't know what it was. They wouldn't give me a direct number. And then when the fight was canceled, I think they just saw that I had made weight already. I had worked, done everything that I needed to make the fight happen. And I guess as a show of loyalty or just fairness, they were like, okay, you know what, we'll go ahead and sign you again. It was never an intention to not be signed again, just so everyone's clear. It's not like they were like, oh, we might cut you loose. It was just a matter of the numbers. And so they gave me a number that I was like, all right, that's good enough. And so re-signed with them, and happy to have this new fight on a new 4-fight contract.
So you get the new contract, you get this fight rebooked, and you got married this past weekend.
Yeah.
Congratulations. How did everything go?
Yeah, it went great. They always say nothing's perfect, and there were a couple little bumps, but nothing big. For those who keep up pretty well with me, I'm already eloped, so we're almost coming up on our first actual anniversary.
Yeah.
When we finally got married, but we got to do it in front of friends and family. Pete's family was able to come out to my family's ranch for the first time and meet my family, so it was all really cool for us. Beautiful weather, beautiful time. You know how long pictures take for weddings, but I'm excited to get those eventually.
Yeah. Were there any nerves? I mean, obviously you had already been eloped, but you want everything to go well and all that. Were there any nerves there? Because I know sometimes you got to make sure everything goes according to plan.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I needed to just let go of some of the things and let people, handle it. So I was definitely stressed a couple days beforehand, but everything turned out beautiful and, as good as I could have dreamed for it to be. So that was good.
Were there any other fighters at the wedding?
Oh yeah, there were several other fighters, not UFC fighters though, just like friends that I've had in the past. We had it very small, so it was only like really close friends I've had for a long time, or that Pete had, and then our families and some coaches. And of course, there were coaches from Denver and from Virginia that were invited and stuff, but a lot of them weren't able to make the trip just because of the cost of gas and flights right now, which are insane. So ended up being smaller than originally planned, and a lot of people dropped out that last, couple weeks, but we kind of liked it being small, and it was good.
Awesome. And again, mention it off the top there. You are taking on your opponent here. You fought before. Is it easier not only with the fact that you have fought her already, but also the fact that you were supposed to fight her last month or month before, and now you sort of have, I'm sure mentally you have all these notes in your head, so it's not like you have to look up a new opponent.
Yeah, no, not at all. I feel like I have the mental edge along with the physical edge. She came down from 135 so that she could basically stay in the UFC, is how I'm seeing it. And she beat Gina Mazzani. But even watching that fight, I felt like Gina was doing a good job until she wasn't, and got on bottom in that fight and lost. But I see myself being very dominant in this fight. I've had so much time to prepare for her as an opponent, but I always like to say I'm not preparing for that opponent specifically. Of course, you got to watch out for a couple signature moves they may have. Like she has that front kick that she snaps out there a lot. But I'm fighting for the next person and the next person and all those top fivers in the division, not necessarily just Shanna. So I'm ready to get this fight done with and then see what's next.
That's excellent. And, are you kind of just, walking, making sure you're not walking under any ladders or seeing any black cats? Like, you want this fight to happen, right? I'm assuming like there's probably a little bit in the back of your head, like, hopefully all goes well, right? Or is that not even on your mind right now?
It's not really on my mind, but at the same time, like, I'm not worried about my weight or anything. But if she struggles with the weight cut, I'm going to talk to my manager and maybe we'll negotiate a catch weight for, a percentage of purse or something if that comes down to the wire. Like, I don't want her getting sick again and once again having a canceled fight. This is 2 out of 5 fights in the UFC I've had canceled on me in the last 24 hours. And it just,
It
man,
sucks.
it is very emotional and it's frustrating. And obviously, weeks on weeks getting ready for a fight and then to have it canceled last second. And the weight cuts aren't that easy for me either. I do a good job of getting down in weight to where I don't suffer too much, but I have to really be consistent with my diet and work week after week to make sure that I'm staying on point. And so it's not fun to have to redo diet, nor is it fun to have to redo a whole training camp when I feel like I already need a break.
Did you get to have wedding cake at your wedding, even though you have the fight coming up?
Yeah, I did. I actually dieted real hard a couple weeks before the wedding so that I
Smart.
could have whatever I wanted. And today was, let's see, I got back last night. Today I sparred and I felt all right. So we're
That's
good.
great. Do you do like a meal prep or anything, or do you have someone working on your nutrition, or you do everything yourself?
Nope, I have meal prep. I actually have Clean Eats, which is a meal prep company that I get my meals from every week. Obviously, sometimes I cook on my own or I'll go out to eat. But in general, I'd say 85 to 90% of my meals are either the meal prep from Clean Eats or like based on the chicken from Chicken Pound, which is like a chicken delivery service.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, that's good. Always getting insight there. You mentioned being back at camp. Training partners who you mainly working with this time around, helping you get ready for your opponent.
It's kind of a mix of everybody at Team Elevation. There's Mallory Martin, JJ Aldrich, Claire Guthrie, several of them. It looks like Lauren Murphy will be coming up again the last few weeks of
Nice.
my camp. I've been really blessed to have her as a training partner, and she's come up last fight that I had. I worked with her nonstop leading up to her Misha Tate fight. So, kind of starting a relationship there to where we're kind of going to be there for each other, getting ready for fights.
How much confidence does that give you? I think we talked about this last time, but Lauren's fought, for the titles. She's been in the UFC for a long time. You're someone that does have a lot of fights, but is also still working their way up. Getting to work with Lauren, just knowing what level you're on. How much confidence does that give you?
A lot. I really get excited every time that I get to spar with her, no matter which way it goes. It's been very back and forth battles with me and her. Everybody has their strengths, everybody has their weaknesses. And it's really good having not only her specifically, but just different styles come in to get to work with. Haley Cohen, I worked with a little bit last camp. Don't know if I'll get to this time around, but she's another training partner that'll be coming in off and on to work with us up here. So, yeah, it's been fun being part of such a big network out here in Denver.
Yeah, and Haley getting signed to the UFC since the last time we spoke, which is really
Mhm.
cool, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's awesome. And I, kind of natural question, I guess, but like I'm sure you and Lauren would never want to fight each other if you're training together, and there's probably enough flyweights where that scenario likely wouldn't happen. I don't imagine you've talked about that, have you?
Not really. I mean, right now we're so far apart that's not a concern. I don't
Mhm.
think either of us care. Like once it comes down to it, yeah, we'll fight each other. I
Mhm.
think that's kind of how any of us feel, but we're not going to do it right now. Like maybe if you're the top 3 and there needs to be a fight for a contender for a title, that's when that becomes a conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've trained together, and right now we're just trying to build each other up and improve each other every time we train.
Your corner, what's that going to look like on November 5th? Who's going to be in the cage with you?
The same as it has been the last couple times. It's going to be Elliot Marshall out there, Justin Houghton, who is the pound for pound striking coach, and also my dad.
And I think I asked you this last time, but I got to ask again. How's this fight playing out? I know you don't like getting paid by the hour.
No, I don't. I'd like it to be finished as soon as possible. Maybe just the exact same as last time that we fought, except I won't trip this time. So, go in there, beat her up on the feet. That's something that would be different from last time, too, that we fought. Is I didn't have much of a stand-up game, and this time I do. I think she's going to be shocked by how much improvement that I've had. I think it's pretty obvious just from watching my fights, but I guess she'll get to see it in person as well. And plan on, basically tagging her everywhere that I can, up and down movement, taking her down whenever I feel like it, perhaps finishing with a sub, and maybe it won't get to the ground at all.
Are you doing a honeymoon after this fight, or are you going to try and get one more fight in?
No, I'm not even gonna. That's not even in the books, really. We have
Okay.
no interest, no money or time to do that right now. So
Yeah, you can save it. Wait, you got this new contract. Enjoy that a little bit, and then go on something later. Because I don't know why you always have to do it right after the wedding. Doesn't make you don't have
well,
to, right?
like we got goals in life. We'll do that when we are sitting around and need retired.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But kind of my other question: do you want to get one more fight in this year just because you missed out on this
I
opportunity?
do. The UFC's been really stingy with how much time they want fighters to have between fights. I'm always available for short notices, so that may be an option, but I am hoping to take a little bit of a break. It looks like maybe beginning of the year, like January, will be an option. But like I said, if a short notice comes available, great. My guess is they're going to make me wait till February, if not.
Do you think you'll ever get that Macy Barber rematch? A lot of people still talk about that fight and how they feel like the judges got that one wrong.
I would love to. She's already turned me down twice for a rematch since, so I doubt it's going to happen anytime soon. I think that's another one that will have to be in the top 5 or so. And you know what? I'm fine with it. I already know what's going to happen when we meet again, so looking forward to it.
That's great. Fighter that sort of caught some attention last week. I know you're getting ready for the wedding, but I don't know if you saw Bo Nickel. Obviously, 3 pro fights, wins twice on Contender Series, and now he's in the UFC. There's a lot of hype behind him. If you have seen him, just your thoughts on his progression very quickly.
I definitely think he's going to be one of the top dogs eventually. He's good at talking behind the scenes too and promoting himself very well. Already calling out. Who is it? Which one is he calling out?
Khamzat Chimaev.
Yeah, right. He's already calling him out and saying, oh, he won't stand a chance. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, that's going to be a long road for him, but he's got the hype behind him. He's got so much experience at an elite level in other sports that I think he's going to get up the chain fast. But eventually he's going to run into somebody, I think, that will be able to kind of stop or slow his momentum. And maybe that'll be good for him and lead to more growth. But I do think he'll be in the top 5 fairly soon.
There we go. And before we get out of here, Downtime. I know you've been doing a million things. You had the wedding and you're getting back in camp and all that. You reading any cool books or watching any TV, anything like that?
No, my downtime has been filled with seminars, and every once in a while I'm drawing. I plan on doing 2 more commission drawings right now. If anybody wants any, they can hit me up. But those are the only 2 that I have right now that I'm doing. And then I'll probably do like a self-portrait and one of maybe a picture of my marriage or something. So we'll see.
Cool. Okay, that's good. What seminars are you referring to?
I've been doing different ones. I went up to Minnesota last week or the week before and did like a pro wrestling appearance, like just went in and watched them. Maybe I'll start doing that kind of thing on the side.
Okay.
Really debating it. Might start training for it after my next fight. Just I don't like doing it during fight camps because there's a risk of getting hurt, especially when it's something new. But think that might be a little side hustle I start doing. But I also taught 3 self-defense seminars that weekend, 1 for police and firemen and 1 for just regular self-defense. And sometimes I do MMA ones, jiu-jitsu ones, etc. I have a couple booked for after my fight too that I had to reschedule since my fight got canceled and rebooked.
Interesting. I love how you just slid that under the radar. You're like, yeah, I just went to a pro wrestling seminar and I might be doing this on the side. But I think we talked about this last time about how that is sort of an interest of yours. I can't remember if I did ask you this though, but did you have any favorite pro wrestlers growing up?
The Rock and Undertaker, and then what is it? Was it Kurt Angle? Whichever one came out in the red, white, and blue.
Yeah, it's Kurt Angle. Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to watch it when I was a kid, and I just remember that. We stopped once the UFC became big enough that became something we watched, and then it made WWE kind of hard to watch for a few years. But it's one of those things where you don't have to get hurt, and you're still like being an athlete, still training a lot and getting paid more. So I don't see why that wouldn't be the upside of the sport.
Yeah, I don't know why more women don't. I mean, maybe they don't have an interest in it, but just, going from MMA, seeing what Ronda did, right? I mean, it's very hard to replicate what she did and have that much success, right. But, why you wouldn't consider trying it out just because, again, the athleticism's there and it's kind of similar to MMA to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think I've heard some people make fun of it and they don't respect it much, but you watch people train for it and it takes a lot of work, just the same as MMA. It's just a little different, maybe not as much pain, but just as much like physical exertion, right? And then on top of that, I think you have to have skills talking, skills entertaining people rather than just skills technique wise.
Yeah, well, you got the entertaining part down pat, in and out of the cage, Miranda. Always appreciate the time. We're looking forward to it. UFC Fight Night, November 5th. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Absolutely. Thank you. I have my patreon.com. If you guys want to go check it out, it's patreon.com/fearthemaverick. I post a bunch of techniques on there. It's not quite an OnlyFans, so don't expect that, but there are pictures and stuff like that on there. I also have my website, fearthemaverick.net, that you can go check out cool gear to support me leading up to my fight, all the way from gloves to shirts to autographed pictures. So check that out. And then also on my link tree, which is like my bio link on Instagram, you can check out all my sponsors, all the way from like water to meal prep to different gear.